Hello, everybody. It is Peter Dunn, Pete the Planner, CEO of Your Moneyline. For the next 10 minutes, that's right, 10 minutes, we're going to be together live, or maybe you're listening to this on the podcast, also called a CalmCast. I've decided to call this at least 20-part series the CalmCast.
CalmCast.
See, it's calming.
CalmCast.
The reason we're doing this is that we are in unusual financial times, both with the economy, with the market, and I believe, which could lead to our personal finances. So what we're going to do over the next at least 10 weeks is we're going to do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern for 10 minutes each. If you don't catch the live show, that's fine. You can just simply catch the podcast, which will be at the Pete the Planner podcast feed. So subscribe to the YouTube channel or, of course, the podcast feed, and you'll get it. Here's who's joining us. Here's who's watching right now. You're one of these groups. Your Moneyline is a financial wellness organization that serves hundreds of thousands of people through their employers. We do that with our software and our coaches. So for those folks, when you have any questions about anything we talk about on this
CalmCast,
by all means, just reach out to Your Moneyline, go to your account and contact your coach, and they will help you. We also have folks from the general public here, which is also great. And if you need any help, by all means, listen to the Pete the Planner podcast, and we'll do the best we can to point you in the right direction. Here's how the show works. First off, every week there are three things, and by every week, I mean every episode, there are three things we're going to talk about in each episode. Number one, we're going to talk about an economic update, and you're going to learn some terminology with each of those updates. Then we're going to do a market update, and you're going to learn some terminology each episode with that. And then finally, a little bit of a personal finance lesson. That is a lot to throw in just 10 minutes. And we've got 8 minutes to go in this episode. So let's get after it. What is going on? Why are we doing this? It begins with the T word, tariffs. So the Trump administration announced on what was called Liberation Day last Wednesday that there was going to be something called tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on exported goods. Okay, so here's how this works. If a company is going to export, or by company, a country is going to export goods into the United States, the U.S. government charges a tariff on that, which is a form of a tax. When that happens, the company then has to, in order to sell it into the U.S. marketplace, in order to recoup their costs, because they are now being charged more to export goods into our country, they'll pass those costs on to the consumer, the people that are buying it, or they have to eat the costs and then make less profit. So that's what's at the heart of all of this. There's something been going on for decades called a trade deficit. That is to say that we tend to import more items into our country. That means we get goods from other countries at a higher pace that we export goods to other countries. This has been either accepted or unaccepted by those in power. It is now deemed with the current administration to be unacceptable, and that's why we are where we are. This is to say that is what has caused a lot of the economic unrest in the last few days. So let's talk about the market, because the market has been reacting to this. Now, what's interesting about this is if we've got these tariffs and we're saying that the market is reacting to the tariffs, you might believe that the market is a lagging indicator. It's indicating that something's wrong with the economy and therefore it's going to do weird things. But the strange part about all of this, and this is an important thing for you to understand, is anytime the market reacts like it just did, it's doing so because it's what's called a leading indicator. It's predicting, when the stock market goes down thousands of points, it is predicting that in 6 to 12 months, the economy will be bad. Okay, so that's actually what's happening right now. Market right now is bad. Economy right now is okay. But the market says in 6 to 12 months, the economy will be bad. Well, what does that mean for the economy to be bad? There's a few different things. First, there's inflation. We'll talk about inflation in an upcoming episode here on Navigating Now. Inflation's when life just gets more expensive. Goods and services become more expensive. So that's one measure of how good an economy is doing. Another is what's called gross domestic product. That is growth of gross domestic product. That's to say, how much is the economy growing? Okay, so that is what the market is suggesting is going to go bad into 6 to 12 months. Okay. So if you've looked at your 401k statement, or you opened your account online, or you've turned on the news or listened to the radio and you've seen market chaos, what the market chaos is saying is that we may not grow as an economy in 6 to 12 months. And there's another word for that when it doesn't grow, but it actually shrinks. It's called contraction, and you know it as a recession. A recession is when the economy doesn't grow for 2 quarters in a row. That's called a recession. Now, you may not technically know all the ins and outs of a recession, but if you've been around as an adult for a little while, you've been a part of one. Had a micro recession during COVID. Of course, there was a recession in 2008, 2009. You've been through it before, which leads to things like job loss and all sorts of nasty stuff, which is one of the reasons we're going to be doing this.
CalmCast.
The CalmCast. That's right. Because there's a lot of things flying around, and we want to make sure that you focus on what's important. Before we move on to how this impacts your personal finances, I want to share something with you right now about the market. Unless you plan on retiring within the next year or two, or you've recently retired, there's, generally speaking, no cause for you to react suddenly with what's gone on in the market in the last couple of days. We are recording this and, of course, going live on April 8th. And so far, as of right now, year to date, the S&P 500, which again, we're going to cover on another episode, what is the S&P 500? It is down 13% year to date. It's down 13.7, just under 14% year to date. Okay. But if you don't need your money for a long time or years and years, this doesn't necessarily impact you. The market is finding its level. I always think about the market in terms of its ups and downs and goods and bads. Like when you get a lot of rain in your area and it either floods or it makes your yard damp or you're in a drought, what happens is water finds its level. The stock market tends to find its level. And if you've got time, then that will happen naturally. So again, unless you're planning on retire next year, everything that's going on right now with the market won't necessarily impact you anytime soon, especially if you don't react inappropriately. Meaning just like let it rest, let it do its thing. And if you can handle it, you can turn your focus to your personal finances. That's what these next 19 episodes after this one are going to be all about, of how can you take what news in the market and the economy and do something about your personal finances. If the market is right, and I would argue the market is very infrequently wrong, it's suggesting that we could have a recession in the next 6 months or so. So what does that mean for your personal finances? It means you need stability. If you did okay during early COVID times, it meant you were stable. It means financially you could handle the storm we all took on. So I need you to focus on your emergency funds right now, and this gets you to your homework for today until we meet again on Thursday. I need you to calculate within your cash position, within your checking account or savings account or money market or high yield, whatever, just those instruments, not your 401k, not how much you can borrow, but just cash, like real cash. How many months worth of savings do you have set aside? Because here's the thing. If the economy does go into a recession, doesn't necessarily mean you lose your job or anything like that. What it just means is things get tougher. And we then try to quantify how we make it easier in terms of how many months worth of expenses do you have set aside. The goal is 3. So what I want you to do today, if you can, just take some time, get into your accounts. If you're your Moneyline participant, you go into your Moneyline account, you can see all of your money right there. And here's what you do. How many months worth of expenses do you have set aside? The goal is 3. Figure out what the difference is between what you have and what you need, and that becomes your new goal. And we will work on that with you here on this
CalmCast.
And we will also work with you on that with our coaches at your Moneyline and yourmoneyline.com. All right, that was it. That's how this works. It's 10 minutes long. Our goal is to keep you calm because I'm telling you, we've got at least 10 weeks of weird stuff coming. Not my first rodeo. I've done this before, and I will say, if you can stay calm, if you can learn about the economy, learn about the market through this process, and then take appropriate actions with your personal finances, you will come out the other side in a great place. Until Thursday, I'm Pete the Planner.